Good afternoon, friends. You're most welcome to Thinker's channel. Today we are going to discuss Practicing Anthropology MANI003 Practicing Anthropology and Health, Unit 1 Health and Culture. Let us begin the topic. Here we are going to discuss mental aspects of health. When we speak of the aspects of mental health, we would like to reiterate the fact that studies related to mental health can be very diverse as it encompasses comparative, ethnic, and transitional approaches, among others. This means that studies related to mental health are undertaken in cross cultural perspectives, that is, the areas of research are undertaken in different contexts and settings. Comparative mental health, as the name implies, offers a comparative analysis on the nature of mental health and disorder in different cultures. For example, for a comparative study, when we select two cultural groups with one of them belonging to minority groups, we tend to include multidimensional aspects like the extent of variation and similarity in the nature of mental health in these cultures and the interrelation between the two groups. When we speak of mental health, mentions of suicide becomes a must. Suicidal behavior can be designed to protect, to rescue the self from otherwise certain annihilation. Suicide is both individualized and pathologized. Western psychology and psychiatry, by focusing their attention on the individual, have constructed suicide as being the deviant act of a disturbed, dysfunctional, or ill mind. However, when multicultural perspectives on suicide are examined, it becomes clear that culture may act either as a protective factor or as one that increases risk in already vulnerable groups. A facilitating factor, an attempt to understand about the interplay of mental health and society necessitates the need to take into consideration the changing contemporary social context as well as different traditional cultural practices coupled with other much broader cultural and social change factors. These factors enable us to understand the regions and variation in society rates among age groups, genders, and different cultures and communities. Next topic is cultural differences and physical health. Here we will need to understand that besides mental aspect of health, the impact of culture on physical health is also an important area of study in health and culture. It is important to mention that cultural differences and its impact on physical health does not imply that cultural variation is the sole cause for occurrence of all types of diseases. This is due to the fact that irrespective of the cultural groups to which one belongs, we will find the occurrence of some diseases which are either genetically determined or acquired. Some diseases, on the other hand, are believed to be caused by the influence of the varied socio-cultural factors, and they are experienced, expressed, and treated as per the accepted mode of health seeking behavior of that particular cultural setting. Genetically determined diseases. One hereditary blood disease, sickle cell anemia, is so called because of blood cells contain abnormal hemoglobin, and when the supply of oxygen is low, these cells, rather than being rounded, adopt the quarter moon shape of a sickle. As a consequence, the supply of oxygen to vital organs may be reduced or interrupted. This may result in progressive organ failure and brain damage. The sickle cell gene has a high frequency of occurrence in a number of countries, especially western parts of Africa and southern India. Sickle cell anemia may be genetically determined, but it is important to note that although more common in black people, it appears to the result not from race but from geographical origin. Williams 1994. In Africa, it is believed to have occurred for hundreds of years along the Nile and to have an adaptive function to increase the resistance to malaria transmission from the mosquitoes Anopheles species. Grieger and Giger and David Zaher 1999. Sickle cell anemia is, of course, just one of many genetically determined blood diseases that occur with different frequencies across cultural groups. For those involved in diagnosing and treating such diseases, knowledge of these cultural variation is vital. McLachlan, 2006. A second example of genetically determined disease is lactase deficiency, which is caused by recessive gene with high penetrase. The symptoms of lactase deficiency become apparent when an individual consumes milk based products. In older children aged 6 to 7 years and above, and adults, the consumption of milk results in abdominal distension, flatulence, abdominal pain or discomfort, and occasionally diarrhea. It is a product not of genetics but of an interaction between environmental, actually ecocultural factors and genetics. Once again, because of the genetic basis of lactase intolerance, its incidence varies geographically. People of Chinese descent do indeed appear to have one of the highest levels of lactase intolerance. McLachlan, 2006.